I caught myself opening ChatGPT before I even knew what I wanted to say. I was trying to write a birthday text to my best friend, the person I've known for 10 years, and I actually thought, I should probably run this through GPT to make it sound more sincere. It sounds insane, but I know you've been doing the exact same thing for months now, haven't you? And it's not just the birthdays, it's the emails, it's the apologies, it's those awkward texts when someone's mad at you, when you're desperately searching for the exact words to say, because you don't even know what you're supposed to feel. And the truth is, ChatGPT's version is always better than yours, better in a way that makes your original attempt feel embarrassing. So the problem isn't that you're using AI, the problem is that you can't think without it anymore. And so this isn't a video about ChatGPT making you lazy, it's about ChatGPT making you doubt yourself so completely that your brain has outsourced thinking to an algorithm. And today we're breaking down every trap that got you here, and why you can't stop, even now. Comfort trap. Using ChatGPT feels amazing, to be honest. It's like having a partner who's always there, never gets tired, and most importantly, never judges you. It doesn't make you feel like an idiot when you ask the same question for the third time. But that feeling is exactly why it's dangerous. See, we've been told that easier is better, but comfort isn't the same thing as actually getting better at something. Think back to the last time you really struggled with a problem. You were frustrated, you were confused, and then boom, it clicked. That click is your brain literally rewiring itself. That struggle is the only reason you actually learned the skill. But ChatGPT skips the struggle and gives you the answer. It removes the only part of the process that actually makes you learn. And most people don't even notice when they cross the line from using a cool tool to needing a crutch. They miss it entirely, but I'm going to show you exactly when that happens later in the video. But for now, just know that the comfort is the bait, and the trap is what happens when comfort becomes your default, when you stop choosing to struggle because ChatGPT makes it so easy not to. That's when the first trap closes, and once it does, the next one is already opening. Approval loop. You start asking ChatGPT for permission without even realizing it. You'll write something, then ask it if it sounds okay. You'll have a thought, then run it by ChatGPT to see if it makes sense. And somewhere in that process, you've stopped trusting your own judgment. You don't even notice you're doing it, but we've all done this, using ChatGPT like a supervisor, like a parent. And the problem is that it works, because now when you do something without consulting ChatGPT first, you feel uncertain. You tell yourself you're using a resource available to you, but deep down you know what it really is. You've started needing ChatGPT's approval, and that need has started to shape the way you see yourself, because the trust you used to have in yourself, that trust has quietly transferred to ChatGPT. You start trusting it the way you'd trust a textbook, or a professor, or a friend who always seems to know things. Except ChatGPT isn't a person, and it doesn't actually know things. It doesn't know you, it doesn't know your history or your intentions or your relationships. It's just guessing based on patterns. But you've started to trust those guesses, to assume that if you're stuck, ChatGPT will unstick you, that if you're unsure, ChatGPT will be sure. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, I'll just use ChatGPT less. I'll be more intentional about it. But that's a lot harder than it sounds, and there's a specific reason why willpower won't save you here, but we'll get to that in the confidence trap. Identity echo. You don't just use ChatGPT to write things anymore. Now you use it to think. You open ChatGPT and type, "Help me figure out how I feel about this." And you don't see the problem with that sentence until later, because how you feel about something isn't supposed to be a question you ask an AI. It's supposed to be something you know or discover by sitting with yourself for a while. But now you've started outsourcing not just the feeling itself, but also the articulation of it. You tell ChatGPT the situation, you give it context, and it hands you back a clean, organized summary of what you might be experiencing. And you read it and think, yes, exactly. Except, did you feel that before you read it? Or did you feel it because you read it? You're not sure anymore, and that's the trap. This is the moment I mentioned earlier, the line you cross. The moment you ask ChatGPT, "Help me figure out how I feel about this," that's when you've gone from using AI as a tool to using it as a replacement for your own mind. Because feelings aren't supposed to be outsourced, they're supposed to be felt. But when you ask ChatGPT to tell you what you're thinking, what you're really doing is asking it to fill in the gaps where your own self-awareness used to be. And the more you rely on it, the less practiced you become in doing that work on your own. Now you might be thinking, but I'm saving time, I'm being efficient. And sure, you are. But there's a hidden cost to all this efficiency, something you're losing without realizing it. And it's not what you think. I'll explain what you're actually paying when we get to the next trap. But here's a hint. It's not time. It's not money. It's something you can't get back. Confidence trap. You're writing something, anything, and halfway through you stop. You reread what you wrote. It sounds fine, but then the thought creeps in. ChatGPT would say this better. And once that thought is there, you can't ignore it. So you open the app, you paste in what you wrote, you ask it to improve it. And it does. It always does. The new version is cleaner, sharper, more confident. And that right there is the start of the spiral. Because the more you compare yourself to ChatGPT, the worse you feel about your own output. And the worse you feel, the more you rely on it. And the more you rely on it, the less you trust yourself. This is why you can't just stop using ChatGPT. Because every time you use it, you reinforce the belief that you're not good enough without it. And that belief makes it psychologically impossible to quit. But it gets worse, because the self-doubt doesn't just affect your writing, it affects your creativity. You used to come up with ideas on your own. You'd brainstorm, you'd experiment, you'd try things that didn't work and learn from them. But now, when you need an idea for a project, a post, a message, anything, you open ChatGPT first. And ChatGPT generates 10 options, all of them decent, all of them usable. And you pick one, or you combine two, or you tweak one slightly and call it yours. But you're losing something in the process, which is the hidden cost I mentioned earlier. It's not time, it's not money. It's the creative muscle that only develops through trial and error. You lose the confidence that comes from figuring something out on your own. And you can't get that back by using ChatGPT more. You only lose it faster. Shame loop. You don't tell people how much you use ChatGPT. Not really. You'll mention it casually. Oh yeah, I used AI to draft that email. But you don't say how often you do. You don't mention that you've started using it for almost everything. Work, personal life, creative projects, even grocery lists. Because saying it out loud would make you confront how dependent you've become. And you're not ready for that yet. There's a shame that comes with that. So you keep it quiet, you keep it private. You treat ChatGPT like a secret collaborator, someone who's always there, but never acknowledged. And the psychology of that silence is telling. Because when you hide something, it's usually because you suspect it might be a problem. And you do suspect that. You suspect that if someone saw how often you open the app, how many messages you've sent, how much of your output is actually AI-assisted, they'd judge you. Or worse, they'd see you less capable, less original, less you. So you don't tell them. You don't tell anyone. And that's how the quiet dependency grows, which eventually becomes your default. And there you have it. The fascinating thing is, ChatGPT didn't trap you by being bad. It trapped you by being too good. Every trap we just covered are all designed, and they work so well that you'll defend them even after I've explained them to you. You've probably recognized yourself in at least 3 of these traps, maybe all 5. And even now, part of your brain is going, yeah, but ChatGPT really does help me. That's just proof the traps work. So if this video made you think twice about how you use AI, you might want to check out my video on why you can't leave Apple even when you want to. Same psychology, different platform. Let me know in the comments, how many of these traps did you recognize in yourself?